everybody, how are ya? I want to talk to you today about family and how family is 100% part and parcel a piece of living in excellence and pursuing excellence with everything that we do. And of course we know that is one of our biggest missions in life is the pursuit of excellence with passion and really funneling all of that together to achieve our life purpose. So what does family have to do with excellence? Well, everything, first of all, because the way we do anything in life is the way we do everything in life. And secondly, if we're really living a life of excellence, which means that we are rising above mediocrity, we're rising above the status quo. We can't just do that in one area of our life while another area is completely neglected, because if that's the case, well then just by definition, it's not excellence. So, we talked a little bit a while back about what it means to become a complete person and a whole person. And deep down inside, we are all whole and we're all complete. But what happens across the course of our lifetime is that by society, programming, whatever the case may be, we neglect pieces of us and we fail to fully grow certain pieces of us, certain aspects of our identity, and therefore they remain small or lost or hidden or locked away or weak or broken, if you will. And other parts of us take a stronger, louder, more front seat, if you will, place in our identity. And a part of our life mission, a part of our purpose is to be able to go in and find all of those hidden pieces of us, those pieces that feel broken or they feel missing or incomplete or unwhole for whatever reason, and start to bring them to fruition. Now, this does not mean that we need to spend our entire life focusing on perfecting our weaknesses. For those of you that have studied John Maxwell, when he's talking about if you're looking at your leadership abilities on a scale of 1 to 10, or your strengths or your assets on a scale of 1 to 10, and it's really about maximizing our strengths as opposed to trying to fix all of our weaknesses. And when you're looking at your weaknesses, if you've got something that's like a 1 or a 2, it's not necessarily about getting that to a 10. But it's more about focusing on those 7, 8s, and 9s, or maybe moving those 6s up to a 7 or an 8, and focusing on maximizing those strengths while making sure that those weaknesses aren't anchoring us down. They're not keeping us stuck below where we want to be. So if we're looking, for example, at filling the holes or healing those broken pieces of us, I'm not talking about becoming perfect. I'm not talking about doing something that it would be nice to have. Like, I would love, for example, to be able to play a guitar. Well, not being able to play a guitar is not a missing piece of what's not making me whole. But if I make a lot of money, or if I am extremely successful in business, but yet I am horrible at home, I'm not whole. Or if I am very successful and have a great family life and I'm very well connected to my children, but I am so depressed that I can barely get out of bed every day, then I'm not whole. So what I'm talking about is finding those pieces that are keeping you from stepping into your maximum alignment and that are keeping you from feeling like a complete and whole human being. Okay, so that's the introduction to how family is a part of your overall excellence and how all of it, for that matter, becomes a part of that patchwork quilt. So I want to talk today about family because a lot of times when we're speaking to professionals and to high achievers or to wannabe entrepreneurs or aspiring up-and-coming entrepreneurs, a lot of times all the focus can be totally on your professional goals and your professional skills. But it's so important that we take time and we focus on what's most important in life. And I've got a few major passions that I talk about all the time, and of course one of them is family, creating and maintaining a thriving family unit. Now again, like everything else, there is no such thing as staying the same. So even to maintain a thriving family unit means that you're constantly working on it, that you're constantly putting energy into that desired result that you want to see with your family. Now, isn't it so interesting that by human nature, we find that we give our best, for those of us that are committed to our best, we oftentimes give our best to everyone else, everyone in the outside of our world. And then we save the leftovers of us, the leftover pieces, the leftover energy, if you will, for those that matter the most. Because when we come home, we walk through that front door and we're exhausted, we're depleted, we have no energy left. And because we think of our family as a part of us, because we think of them as second nature, then usually what happens is we treat our family the way that we treat us. We give ourselves the leftovers. We don't think about ourselves in a proactive way. We put ourselves last, and therefore a lot of times we end up putting our family last as well. And it's such a travesty. It is such a tragedy. And so what I really would invite you to do as a result of this conversation, or as an extension of this conversation, is to take some time today or this week and really take a good hard look at what would it look like for me to give my family my best? What would my family look like if I were giving them my best, my 100% of my efforts? Now, please understand, there's a difference between quality and quantity. So I'm not saying that you're spending 100% of your time with your family. Now, how much time you're spending with them, that's a whole different discussion, and definitely an important thing to look at is, are you spending enough time there? But that's not this discussion. What I am asking you is, in the time that you are spending with them, are you giving them your best? Are you giving them top quality, or are they getting your leftovers? You know, one of the things that I used to coach my clients and students on a lot is to make sure that before they walk through that front door, or maybe it's the back door, when you drive the car in the garage, before you walk through the door, take a moment and re-energize yourself and mentally, emotionally prepare yourself to be the giver that you want to be when you walk through that door. So that your kids, your spouse, whoever is in that house, whoever is counting on you, that they are getting your best all over again. So if you have to stop and negotiate with your body and your mind to find more strength, that's when you do it, before you walk in that door. And please, 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 do not be on your phone when you walk in the door. Do not have your phone in your hand. Put your phone in your bag, in your pocket, in your purse. Put it away somewhere so that when you walk through that door, you are ready to be able to give your family 110%. Even if it's just for 5 minutes, even if it's for 10 minutes, whatever it is, so that they know that you care. You know, I heard a story once about a man that he had a tree in his front yard, and one of his neighbors happened to notice that every time he was going home, when he came home from work at the end of the day, he was a farmer, and at the end of the day, every time he came home from work, he would stop and he would go and he would rub the leaves on the tree before he walked into the house. Every day, day in, day out, year after year after year, he would do this. And one day the neighbor, he couldn't help himself anymore. And he came over and said, "What are you doing rubbing that tree every day before you go in the house? What is that all about?" And the man smiled. He said, "Oh, that." He said, "That's my trouble tree." "Your trouble tree? What's your trouble tree?" "Yeah." He said, "Whenever I come home at the end of the day, I stop and I rub the tree and I put all my troubles onto that tree. And I know that they're going to be there for me when I wake up and come out to work again tomorrow, but it's not fair to my family, it's not fair to my wife and my kids for me to carry those troubles inside, because they can't change them, they can't do anything about them, and why should I burden them with my extra trouble? So I make sure when I touch the tree every night before I go in that I leave my troubles parked right here on the tree." It's such a powerful lesson that all of us, every single one of us, could absorb. And I want to just encourage you to think through quality versus quantity again for a quick second. Okay, there is a difference between coexisting under the same roof and actually having quality family time. So if you say, "Yeah, I spend a good amount of time with my kids," okay, but what are you doing during that time? Are you all on different devices? You're on your phone, they're on their phones or their iPads or their video games, are parked in front of a TV, and everybody's there together, but mentally and emotionally you're not? That doesn't count, y'all. Okay, I'm talking about energy, connecting the family together and bringing together a thriving family unit. What can you do to increase the quality time, increase the influence that you can have with your family by connecting with them on an energetic, emotional level? And the last thing I'll say is this. My biggest mentor always said that every family should block out half an hour per day to focus on their kids' education. Half an hour per day. Now that can seem like a lot. You think, what can I possibly be thinking about? Actually thinking about and focusing on their education for half an hour per day. And if we're going to be doing that, what that means is really looking at the bigger picture. Not just are they going to school, but what type of humans are my children becoming? What am I giving them? If they were to write a book about my life simply by watching me, what would they think my priorities are? Am I influencing them? Am I investing in them? What am I doing with them to help make sure that they become the type of human that I want them to be? What type of character traits? What type of personality? What type of priorities am I breeding into my children? And am I taking the time to really invest in them, or am I just assuming that they're catching it from what they're watching? Because make no mistake, they are watching, they are catching. The question is, are they catching what you want them to absorb, or is it happening unconsciously and subconsciously? And what can we do to become more proactive, more conscious, and more intentional about the lessons and the influence and the impact, the long-term impact that we're making for our kiddos and for our family? So those are my thoughts on family and creating an excellent relationship with our family. Mostly it's talking about kids. We can talk about spouse excellence and husband-wife relationship. That's a whole different conversation for a different day. But from the context of family in general, I invite you today to really put some thought into, am I creating excellence with my family? And I hope above all that you would be encouraged. This is no judgment whatsoever. I have made more mistakes in this than I care to even admit. In fact, I'm not going to admit. And the only way that this has become such a passion of mine is because of failing forward and learning the hard way and making so many mistakes along the way. And from the lessons that I have learned, I hope that I can just help somebody else along the way. Love you guys. Bye for now.